And welcome back, footy fans, to another episode of Donnie's Disposals. I am your host, Coach Donnie Hess here, back with another AFL supporter series off-season variety. Ladies and gentlemen, I am looking at the clock. We are closer and closer to the start of the home and away season for the AFL, and I still want to finish off as many of these chats as I can. I will apologize during this episode. It doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get all 18 clubs done, but hey. The chats that I've had have been fantastic. And joining me today, I can't wait for this because round zero is coming closer, and this is going to be fun for me. Joining me today from warm but still awesome Melbourne, Victoria, we have Jamie Lee. Jamie, thank you for hopping on the podcast today.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm excited to talk about football,
Yes,
especially round zero.
round zero is going to be fun. So, anybody that's listening to it, you get the clue on maybe who her club is, but we will save that for just a littlest bit later. Before we hop into the football, let's talk. I like
Mhm.
finding out just the littlest bit about the person that I'm chatting with. So, if you don't mind, Jamie
Mhm.
Lee, share with us a little bit about yourself outside of the game of football.
Yeah, my name's Jamie Lee. I'm 18. I'm from Melbourne. I love sports. I'm a massive AFL nuffy, but I also follow Formula One. So I've had a lot of I've gone to a lot of Grand Prix and all that, and I am a massive concert person. And it all interlinks with Melbourne's culture. So I'm
Mhm.
quite excited to talk about my hobbies.
You have some fantastic things that have come through Melbourne. I know the Aussie Grand Prix is absolutely magnificent. I am not a
Hmm.
huge F1 person. I'm still kind of getting into it. It's always I'm so
Hmm.
used to NASCAR up here, so trying to get understand a sport
Yeah,
that is so much faster. So not a huge F1, but I'm getting into it. I know Oscar Pistorius, Oscar Piastri is amazing. I
PS3.
kind of sucks that he didn't win a championship this last year. And I know some Aussies have the conspiracy theory that the English place that he had wanted to be sure that
English
Landell won
bias.
it. We won't go there. Like this is
Right.
different than what I usually do. Usually I find a way to throw cricket in there because I know during the Ashes, when I was doing a few interviews during the Ashes period and it was celebrating the Aussie wins. So it was always fun. But we're here for football. So let's hop right into it. I must ask this, Jamie Lee, as the footy nuffy, as you so greatly said, what is your favorite thing about this wonderful sport of football?
There's so many elements to it. If it's from like the strategy to the atmosphere to the community that I'm in, it's just so enjoyable to watch. I've met three of my closest best friends because of the community of, Billy said the team of Carlton. Um, also, I just love the atmosphere. Something about a packed MCG, 90,000 in front of people that enjoy the same things about you, is passionate about the same things as you. It's just quite amazing.
Yeah, 100%. It's one of those I've never experienced it. I hopefully one day will, but just listening to it on my headphones when I watch the games, things like that, it is absolutely incredible. So 100% with you on that. So I know we're still early in your football journey, a young 18
Mhm.
years to it, but I'll ask, what's your earliest footballing memory?
So I come from like my whole extended family are full football nuffies. So I just remember like we would usually have like round one or whenever our teams versed each other, we would always have like barbecues and going over to like your auntie's or your grandparents' house. Um, and just like watching them watch the sport was also so interesting because there's just so many emotions around the room. Um, I think that's the earliest. I must have been like 4 or 5 from those experiences.
Mhm. Yeah, so I love it. So many of the early ones, and then the family connection is always fantastic. And
Yeah.
we'll have another question here in a little bit that I'm fascinated on that I'll ask just
Mhm.
here. So, and actually, it's the actually the great lead in. We've already been teased, so those that maybe weren't paying attention or that are watching the YouTube video know. So I will ask, What is your club and how is and why is it that you've come to support them?
I am a massive, if you can't tell by my scarf, it says Blues. I'm a massive Blues bagger. I support Carlton FC. I started supporting them from birth, basically. And I would say it's the best club. I've enjoyed it my whole entire life, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yep. There's no issue with that. I have many a blue bagger mate of mine. Trust me, I know Terry Degani has become a very good friend of mine from Blue Abroad. Absolutely love him to death. So
Very.
there's always a little part of me that I
Hmm.
barrack for the baggers when they don't play the Swans, and I know that this year because of a certain deal that's happened, there's a little bit even more of a connection between our two clubs. We'll discuss that a little bit later when we get into
We
more of
will,
the
we will.
AFL talk. But as you said, you have a family of Nuffies. So I will ask this.
Hmm.
Is everybody Carlton, or do we have a few bits and pieces from other clubs being supported in the family?
So my dad's obviously a massive Carlton Nuffy, and he's passed it down to me. So I think it's the third generation of Carlton supporters. And since birth, basically, it was you have to support Carlton, or
Hmm.
otherwise
You're out of the
you're gonna
house.
have to leave. Yeah, 100%. Um, Apparently my mum was like not really big into AFL, but she supported Footscray because she lived in it when she
Hmm.
was younger. But then she met my dad at 16, and they've been Carlton ever since.
Okay, so both the immediate family. Are there any black sheep? Is
Hmm.
there anybody outside of the immediate family that supports somebody different than the Blues? And if so, how's the banter?
My whole extended family, they all support different teams, and during the season, it's quite crazy to see. They go for like Hawthorn, Richmond, and during the 2010s, it was quite hard for us, especially Carlton, because we weren't quite the best. But yeah, it's been ups and downs, but my whole like intermediate family are Carlton, and the rest all support different teams.
It's one of those fun things. I absolutely love it. Like it's the immediate family, the internal family in the one household has to be everything. But then once you get the aunts, the uncles, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, everything like that,
All
start
different
supporting others.
ones.
It's actually fascinating. It is really fascinating, and I love, like I said, I love those stories of you're born to a Carlton father. You're gonna be a Blues fan, or you're out of the house. I love these stories. They're so different and unique. Like there's passion for sports up here, but
Hmm.
it's not the same. Like it doesn't have that almost like you identify with your football team. Like I heard I saw a doco about the International Cup. And when they were interviewing an Aussie reporter, he said he goes for a lot of Australians, especially in the footballing states with Victoria, South Australia, and WA. He goes when you ask them when you introduce yourself, you almost instinctively introduce yourself as the team that you support. Like it's part of your
Yeah.
identity. So it's really, really cool. So hearing those stories like that, it's one of the reasons like I asked the family because you get all sorts of different ones, and then sometimes you do have the one child that is the huge like they have to be different. So they support
Hmm.
like the exact opposite club. Like a couple of years ago, I interviewed a gentleman who is a huge Port supporter. Everybody else in his family are Crows supporters.
Yeah. That
So
would
sometimes
be
you get it would
way
be the
interesting.
equivalency of somebody in your family being a Pies supporter, which I know that's we
Oh,
don't want to
yeah.
discuss that, but that's the equivalent of it. So I absolutely love it. So we'll stay on this and have some
Hmm.
fun with this. What was what was the first ever blues item that you were ever given or bought?
It's locked up somewhere in a cupboard because I got it dirty when I wore it to a game once, but it was a passed down Carlton scarf. It was like quite similar to this. It had blues, but because it was from the 90s, their scarves were a lot longer than the current scarves.
Hmm.
And I would say that was my first proper Carlton item I did own.
Hmm. Yep. Nothing. I absolutely love that. I've seen some of them. I've actually during this question with a few of my interviews, they've actually shown it to me, which is always
Yeah.
fantastic. Absolutely love it. So one of the things that I absolutely love about this sport is fandom. Is I think
Hmm.
fandom for sport, I think, is one of the coolest things ever because nobody supports their team. Barracks does any of that exactly the same as another. So in these series, I like to ask this. Could you describe your fandom of the Carlton Blues for me? Because I'm interested to see how's your fandom? Are you live and die by this club, or can you step away and be kind of a normal person even during the season?
I think the Carlton community is a whole massive family. It's a ride or die club. Obviously, I feel like it's almost like bonded together. Um, for example, like all my friends that are around the same age, we've obviously seen the Carlton not having the best of seasons, but I feel like it's just like a massive family that is like waved together by like loyalty. It's a ride or die club. You wear that jumper with pride,
Yep, no, 100,
and that's for sure.
100% agree, but I think let me rephrase that. I want to know your fandom. I want to know you. Like when it comes to it, are you the full-fledged Nuffy? Like you have to watch every single game, every single minute. Are you paying attention to all of the TV, all of the TV shows, watching all of the coverage during the off season? You're watching everything. Describe your fandom. I apologize. Maybe I should have translated that a little bit differently.
No, 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 that's
Describe
all good. I do
you,
apologize.
Jamie Lee, your fandom of the Carlton Blues.
Oh, I'm a massive nuffy. I went through a period of time where I had to watch, I had to go to every single game and I would have to watch the replays and I would have to watch the interviews after and do like analyze everything for like a couple of years. I Yeah, I wear my jumper with pride. I go to as many games as I possibly can. Um, and yeah, I will probably be the loudest in the bay to support my team, even if it's a win or a loss. But I don't care. I'm loyal. I love my club. I wear it with pride.
There's nothing wrong with that. I will never tell a person that they can't fan the way they do. In fact, I passionate fans like you, I absolutely adore because as somebody that cannot be at the ground, for somebody that's sitting in on my
Hmm.
bed most of the time, watching my iPad at 4 in the morning,
Hmm.
I 100% love fans like you because you guys get to do what I can't. So absolutely, absolutely love it. Be prideful of your fandom. I know it's for some people it's kind of crazy, but I absolutely adore football fans, any kind of fans, sports fans, absolutely love it. So as I've said,
Hmm.
this series is about female fans. And the reason that I do that is because I know it. I'm a bloke. I will never know what it's like to be a female fan. So I like finding out the experience just a little bit. So I want to ask you this. As a female fan, do you feel that you're treated a little bit different than your male counterparts?
Unfortunately, it's 110%. I've noticed it's gotten a bit better over the years, but as someone who like grew up with like the technology like generation,
Hmm.
when I would like watch a game, I would go on like Instagram or like Twitter or whatever social media app I used. And no matter if I was right or wrong, or I would share my experience to like going to a game or my thoughts or the highlights or anything, I was always dealt with misogynistic comments.
Hmm.
And I've learned to overcome that and not listen to them. But I definitely think from like a young age, I've always endured sexism when it
Hmm.
comes to AFL and supporting my team. I've always been like mansplained, like rules or anything. Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, and unfortunately it is far too common for there, and especially because
Hmm.
social media is such a toxic place. I will as great as it is, and again, I say it so many times on the podcast, is that the reason that I'm having this show, a lot of my co-hosts I've met through social media, and it's fantastic. I have met so many amazing people, but I will 100% say it is a cesspool that many of these social medias are on because you have some dipshit.
Keyboard
I'll
warriors.
just be straight up. Some dipshit that believes that just because he has the Y chromosome that he believes that he's smarter because sport is supposedly a man
Hmm.
thing. And I will sit here and tell you
Yeah.
this, when there are some females that I know of that enjoy sport that are so much more articulate and so much better at knowing the sport. Again, I've said it every episode and I'll say it again. Kate McCarthy is still one of my favorite follows on social media because she's sharp, she's incredibly
Hmm.
intelligent, and she doesn't take any shit. And I absolutely
Hmm.
love her to death because she doesn't, some of these absolute nitwits online, she just absolutely takes them to task. And then my favorite is their buddies try to help him out and they get roasted just as badly. So I'm 100% with you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that you had to deal with that, Jamie, that you had to deal with that. But here's the thing. You're still smiling. You're still enjoying the sport. You're still supporting your Blues with gusto and
Hmm.
passion. And that is something that sometimes gets driven out of some female fans. So you're here, you're loved,
Hmm.
you're respected because here's the thing. We need more of passionate young people loving the sport like you, Jamie Lee. So please never lose that fire. Absolutely love it. We'll go to some positives in
100%.
here. So, as somebody that goes to the games, I want to ask this. Could you offer some advice to a young lady who wants to support her club or wants to go to the footy,
Hmm.
but is a little bit scared of the atmosphere? Could you explain, give advice of what you do to enjoy the game at the ground?
Hmm. So I've actually like met my closest friends from just rocking up to a game, not knowing like people or like messaging them because we had the same interest as Carlton supporters. I think if you're with someone that enjoys the same thing as you shouldn't let other people tell you anything else. If you have that passion or if you have that drive to go to a game, or even if you want to post like the results at the end of the day on social media or whatever, don't let anyone else tell you what to do when it's your life and your passion for something. It will be scary at first, 100%, but you'll make friends in the community and you'll be driven to go to those games and to talk more about the passion of football.
Mhm. 100%. Absolutely. Absolutely love it. So we'll get away from the negative. We'll stay into the positive. Like I said, again, this is one of those communities, as I said, I absolutely adore fans. And as a huge advocate of the female side, I absolutely love
Mhm.
fans like yourself that are getting into it. You're passionate. Absolutely love it. So we'll move on to this again. You're still young compared to some of the people that I've discussed with when it comes to your years in the game. So I'll ask this. What was the
Mhm.
first ever Blues game that you attended live?
I can't really remember, but I remember one that stuck to me to this day. I'm pretty sure it was 2015 when we got the wooden spoon that year. But I remember it so clearly because it was the first time I saw GWS live, and I thought their theme song was so funny, and I laughed at them, thinking, "Oh, we will definitely win this. We're gonna win this." And I think we ended up getting like, I think we got smashed by like 70 points plus, and that was like, wow, okay, I shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I had faith. But yeah, it was definitely one of those seasons that weren't the best for us 100%, but I still enjoyed it.
Well, hey, there's nothing wrong with that, and staying passionate for your club is something I absolutely enjoy because as an American who is very, very loyal to his teams that he's chosen, I'm one of those. I've always dealt with the one is I don't like when people change clubs just because their team isn't winning.
Yeah.
So as somebody that I've seen Carlton go through these doldrums so many years, and again, I remember sitting down with Terry Degani and talking to him. It's like, you've been around this club for many years. I mean, how difficult is it those years when you deal with it? So seeing somebody that, despite some of the tough draws that they had early, that you're still just as passionate for the club, absolutely love it. So going off that, this is one of my favorite ones because I know there's some fans they hate this question, but I find it fascinating. So I'm gonna ask you this: do you have a favorite player from the past that's donned the navy blue jumper, and do you have a favorite player currently on the Blues list?
Yes, I have two. One
Sure.
interlinks with the current as we speak. But when I was younger, I really enjoyed Matthew Cruiser playing. I think it was because I was quite young and he was like 6'6" and he was really tall. But I still look back on it and I still respect him so much as a player because he was so incredibly loyal to that club, even through the injuries that he got or anything like that. I think he stayed at Carlton for 12 years. And that was, I would say, the roughest time that we've had in a while to like the Carlton history. Through like wins or loss, no matter what, he wore that jumper with pride. And I always will respect that.
Okay. And then a favorite player currently on the list.
Yeah. He is currently our captain, Patrick Cripps. I remember when he debuted, I think it was like, I don't really remember, but I think it was like around 2014, 2015, where it was like his couple years into the club. And he was still quite a young player. And my dad was like, Jamie Lee, you better watch out for this guy because he's going to be a superstar. And I listened and I've supported him ever since. And I just have again so much respect to Cripper because he's led that club through thick and thin and he stuck fat to it and he's won multiple Brownlows, but hopefully in a couple of years, hopefully this year he'll hold that premiership cup because he definitely deserves it after everything. But yeah, so much respect for Patrick.
Yeah, no, Kripa is one of those that you just can't not love him. He's just
Yeah,
he's
you
that
can't
heart
hate
and
him.
soul gut player. You really can't like you want to hate him as an opponent, as an opposing supporter, but you just can't because he's always seems so happy and he gives everything. He literally gives everything. He's just a good
Mhm.
old fashioned bloke. I absolutely love Crippa to death. So, and I've heard so many people say that it's like Crippa deserves this, Crippa deserves that, and I really hope he gets it one of these days. I really, really do, because he's done so much for the club and everything like that. And you've had some rippers on that team. Sam Walsh is another one.
I love Swansea.
There's a little bit of me, the old Swans players of Nick Newman, Ollie Florent, Will Hayward, some of these guys that I saw wear the red and white, and I support them and I wish
Mhm.
them all the best at the Blues and everything like that. The only time I will cheer against them, the only time I will barrack against them is when they play the Swans. That's it. Other than that, I want them to do well. I really, really do. I'm a weird fan like that. I can still support them even though they're not on my club, which I take pride in that when I do that. So we'll go to it. Walk me through this, Jamie Lee. Thoughts on last season? I know we're getting closer and closer to this season, and I know it's easy to forget, but talk me through last year, your thoughts on this, because a weird
Mhm.
year, a year that I think there were some expectations, and unfortunately they just didn't come to fruition.
I think last year, again, as you said, it was just such a weird year because on paper we had these elite, like at A plus, like sorry, like A plus athletes on this team of ours, and I think injury caught up to us, and the
Mhm.
foundations of the club just started breaking, and then everything just went to crap. To be quite honest, like there was some expectations. Unfortunately, they couldn't do it in the end. So I think it was a frustrating, but also a good time to learn from what has happened to push on through this year.
Yeah, no, it was one of those again. Like I said, Terry Degani is a fantastic, very good friend of mine. So I keep an eye on the Blues a lot. The Blues are a fun team to watch. Plus, with Charlie and Harry, they're a scary combination, but there was just something that just didn't fit. Something just didn't
Yeah.
work. And Sammy Walsh being hurt, not being available as much didn't help. It seemed like there was always this misconnection, this misconnection. And I felt horrible for Weeders back there because he had to deal with so much shit because he's one of the best
Yeah.
defenders in the entire competition, and yet he's constantly having to mop up and fix the issues that are happening in the midfield or something happening
Hmm.
there. So no, it was a frustrating year as somebody that I wanted to see the Blues successful because they teased you a couple of years ago getting to the preliminary final and just falling short of a grand final, and then making the finals, and I think everybody ruled them out going into that finals the next year because of all of the injury despite making finals. So, oh
Hmm.
man, but yeah, I think last year was one of those. The expectations weren't met, shall we say? But
Hmm.
but unfortunately, it's the way footy is. As soon as you think you have it figured out, man, it hits the end of the ball and bounces completely to the left or completely to the right. So,
Yeah.
as frustrating as it was, it's a learning experience. And I think as we will go to the next question is we hit the off season, and the biggest question on everybody's mind was Charlie Curnow, will he stay or will he go? I hate to use the song lyric. And as anybody that knows the podcast, and again, we've discussed it a couple of times because of our round zero matchup, Charlie Curnow found his way outside of the club. So we'll talk about the offseason. Your thoughts on the trade? Did Carlton get a good amount for him? And then, as we kind of discussed off mic, I'll share if you'd like with the fans what my thoughts were on the trade as a Swan supporter. We may have him, but my thoughts on it. So,
Hmm.
your thoughts on their offseason moves?
Yeah. So that off season, I reckon, was the worst off season, me personally as a supporter, because I was a massive Tom de Koning fan. And like
Hmm.
through the season, you obviously knew like Charlie and Tom weren't staying because their passion just wasn't there anymore. Um, and obviously Tom went to St Kilda and Charlie went to the Swans. But I think we were both on the same page when it came to I think Sydney offered too much for Charlie. But on the hindsight, it's amazing for Carlton because we've gotten two amazing players that I'm so excited to see thrive this year. Um, but I'm excited to see like how the new dynamic with the club will be with Charlie being gone.
Hmm.
But I think we both were on the same page if you want to talk into what we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, like off mic. I've said this to a few of my Swan supporters, and I will stick by this comment is unless the Swans win a premiership with Charlie Curnow, I believe we've given up too much. Personally, I love Will Hayward. I absolutely adore him. I hate losing him because he was the grunt. He was the guy that he's not going to put up 25 and kick two goals. That's never Will Hayward. But there are games he'll go for four and only have 10 disposals because he does the tackle pressure. He does the little things. He's the guy that gives the second efforts. He's the one percenter king for the Swans small forwards. So losing him in the trade, I kind of knew that was going to happen. The tea leaves were all over that one. I don't like how it happened. I will openly say that. It was the one time I've been disappointed with the coaching staff and the list management. I think they did both Will Hayward and Ollie Florent dirty in this whole thing. Like I will openly say that.
Mhm.
I am not one of those like my club can do no wrong type of person. I will never say that. Ever, 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 ever. I will go after I will tell my club when they've buggered up. And in my opinion, they buggered this up. They lost faith in Will Hayward and Ollie Florent and basically told them so. And I don't like that. As a club, you have to treat your players with as much respect as possible. I understand you want a caliber player like Charlie Curnow, and I get it, but you cannot disrespect the guys that did wear your jersey because it leaves a sour taste in your mouth. And you can tell by some of the social media stuff that both of them put out. There's a little bit of sour grapes there, and I
Yeah.
100% understand it. So, as a somebody that covers this league a lot, I believe you got two players that really will help you. You kind of get rid of Charlie Curnow and that target where I think the issue you ran into a lot was is bombing it into Harry and Charlie a lot and forcing them to become contested
Yeah.
market markers, which let's be honest, neither of them are superstars at. They're good, but
Hmm.
they're not huge. Like they're not the one you think of when if I need a contested mark, who's the person I'm thinking of? All due respect to Harry and Charlie, they're not the first people I think of if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah.
So the fact that you get rid of that other kind of talisman, and now Harry's the man now, which we'll see how he handles that because Some of his yips that he's had in front of goal will be fascinating to see. Hopefully, with more pressure,
Hmm.
hopefully those don't come back. You get a workhorse in Will Hayward. You've already got some young small forwards that I think are going to be fascinating to watch their growth. You're bringing in Ollie Florent, who I think brings in something you haven't had, and that's an elite kick off of the halfback flanker or even the wing position. Um, Blake Acres is solid, but I just don't know if he's that elite kick. Ollie Florent comes in and he instantly is one of your best defensive kicks. Again, this is not me disrespecting Carlton. This is just me being an honest person when it comes to it. Watching, as I know, a really quick question without notice is there was some controversy over some practice video where Carlton looked absolutely atrocious with the footy. And I know some Carlton fans lost their proverbial shit at Crippa because he did an interview on
Hmm.
Triple M where he was joking about it. And it's the
Yeah.
preseason, ladies and gentlemen. Nobody's supposed to be recording this. So I get Crippa's opinion on this. 100% understand Crippa's thought process on this. And the fact that they can take the piss out of each other and because Crippa literally in that even said, he goes 10 minutes later, he goes something that they didn't record. Every single kick hit a chest. He goes, so this is a little bit of people losing their proverbial, you know what, on a nothing burger that happened in a training.
Mhm.
It's gonna happen. No training is perfect. Like I I bet I could probably go to a Sydney training and see a kick like that all the time. It's going to happen. We're human. It's going to
Yeah.
happen. So, your thoughts on the kind of ruckus that happened off the Triple M interview with Cripple laughing about, shall we say, the less than perfect Blues performance in that video?
You know what? I was out of the loop for like 2 days on it until my phone just kept blowing up from like my friends being like, "Have you seen this video? Are we done this season? Are you kidding me?" And I watched it, and honestly, I was the same with Patrick. Like I laughed my head off. Like the fact is, like this, some people, I'm not going to say the supporters, but like obviously there was also haters commenting on that video. Like no preseason like match is going to be the exact same as round one or round zero. Like they're
Mhm.
practicing. And I really respect Patrick coming on the radio and honestly like owning up to it and also laughing off because that means like he's not really offended by what the people think. Like he knows what his job has to be done this season. Um and yeah, honestly, I've seen other clips from other like preseason matches, and they've looked really good. It was just, I reckon it was like the 1 in 10 minutes one off kick out of the boundary or something like that.
Mhm.
It's not always got to be perfect.
Yep, no, 100%. And even he said it. He goes, like I said, the fact that he said less than 5 minutes later, he said we had a passage where we hit five straight chests. It's like, why is that not recorded and put up?
Yeah,
Because it's not the drama fill. It's the clicks portion of
yeah,
the
they want the
internet that enjoy it.
headlines for sure.
Exactly. Nope.
Yeah.
So I'm 100% with you. It's like I kind of like that he kind of took the piss out of it and just the boys had a laugh about it. Hey, we know better now. We know better now,
Hmm.
and they learn from it, and that's exactly what the preseason is there for because it's preseason. So we'll jump off of that one, and we'll jump to it now. As we said, as we're sitting here recording and talking with us, we are a little over 2 weeks, it would like a little over 3 weeks away from the start of the season. So Jamie, I
Hmm.
asked this: what are your expectations for this year? And again, I am not an expectations person. I am a person of here's what I would love to see happen, but if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to be
Hmm.
losing sleep over it because I know footy can be anything. So,
Hmm.
your thoughts on this season?
I'm just praying, knowing with the Carlton curse, I don't know what happens, but we get so many injuries during the season. The one thing I would love to see this season is the less hamstring strains or the less injuries we can get. Obviously, I've been watching like some highlights here and there and been listening to Vossi. I think the team's really strong at the moment, and if they can come out and prove that we are finals worthy, I would love to see us play finals. But as long as we build a solid base and we grow from there, I think it's got to be a thriller of a season.
It'll be interesting. I know it's not starting off the greatest with Weeder's injury, but from indications that I'm hearing, it wasn't as bad as it originally looked like after
Yeah.
the origin. I know there were some Blues fans who were absolutely losing their minds over Origin when Weeder went down. But like I said, I'm crossing my fingers a quick recovery from his rib issues that he's having. Like I said, I never want to see a player injured. I loved the state of Origin. I thought it was magnificent. In fact, I joke with a few people. I think it should be all four. I think it should be WA versus Victoria and SA versus the Allies. I think it should be all of them
Mhm.
personally. Get us two games. I don't think it would be that big a deal, but if you look at the carnage from that origin, there's like six players that are now hurt because of
Mhm.
that origin. So I was a little terrified when Origin came down with the injuries, but I enjoyed it. I'm excited for a Carlton team because there is a little bit of through the experts, and again, I will air quotes that for those that are listening. These are the years that you love to be Carlton because there's less expectation on them because Charlie's out, because this is a
Mhm.
team that has not been one of those teams that you can rely on being consistent. This year, maybe with a few expectations lowered a little bit, maybe this is the year that Voss has that great year coaching and he shocks everybody, becomes that Cinderella team that people didn't think would do what they're going to do. We'll never know, and I cannot wait for this season to start because there's some really good players on this list. They're going to be fun to watch. Health, I agree with you, is going to be massive. Can they keep Walshy on the park as much as possible? Can Crippa stay healthy for most
Please.
of the year? Will we see the impact of Harry Mackay kicking lots of goals? How will the impact of Will Hayward and Ollie Florent joining the team? Can we have that? Will Weeders come back quicker? We'll have to see. Is he still one of the best fullbacks in the entire competition? I will argue he's one of the top three. Personally, Cal Wilkie, him, and Sam Taylor, I think, are three of the best in the entire competition, and I have a hard time finding it. So we'll have to see on that one. So I want to have a little bit of fun
Mhm.
now. Okay, this is I love this question. I've caught a few people by surprise with this question, and it really makes them think. So up here, a lot of people love to be they think they know everything. And up here we call it the general manager. Down in Australia, you call it the list manager. So we're going to have a little bit of fun. For one day, I'm going to install you as the men's list manager for the Carlton Blues. All the other 17 clubs are open. You can take one player from the competition and put them on the Blues list. Who's that one player you bring in to get the Blues over the hump and maybe get them to a grand final?
You put me on the spot. I remember reading the question being like, there's from like me personally, I don't really have like favorite players outside of Carlton,
Okay.
but he's a midfielder, but I would love to see Zach Butters in the Navy Blues. I don't know why, but whenever he's just so fast, so athletic, and he just brings the spark to Port Adelaide, to be completely honest. I
Hmm.
love watching his games and how fast he is, but also like from like outside of football, he's such a nice lad and he's a funny lad, so he would get on with the Blues. Even though we might not need a couple of more midfielders, I would love to see Zach Butters for one day, even if it was run one round, I would love to see it.
Well, who knows? I know that there's a lot of people in Victoria that are saying that potentially Zach Butter is coming back to Victoria for next season, but it's very interesting to hear some of the discussion. I know people in South Australia, some of those in teal and black, are not liking some of the discussions that I've heard when it comes to Zach Butters, but who knows? It definitely is a possibility. He's a good one. Um, I would love personally, can I toss who I think would be
Yeah,
fantastic
go
for
for
you?
it.
And I know it'll never happen. Nasiah Wanganeen Miller, another person that can come off your halfback flanker line, because as I've said to a few people, that you can definitely tell the teams that don't have that elite flank, that elite halfback kind of flanker center halfback that has elite kicking and speed. Like you see the guys like Jordan Clark, Nick Blakey, Nasiah Wanganeen Miller, those that halfback flanker that's got some pace but really good kicking skills. are really damaging the competition of the Nick Dacos. I know. Sorry,
Hmm.
Collingwood mentioned in a Carlton podcast. I'm sorry, but let's just be honest. That kicking halfback flanker really has become a niche position in present day AFL. So I
Football.
think Nasaya
Yeah.
would work fantastic for Carlton because that
Hmm.
opens up your midfield a little bit. It gives you a rotational through the midfield and it gives you some pace off that halfback flanker. I absolutely love Adam Saad, but he does not have the pace that you need from that kicking halfback flanker. He's become kind of a back pocket a little bit. Um, so I would love to see a
Yeah.
Nasiah
Yeah.
Wanganeen Millera, a Jordan Clark, a Nick Blakey coming off your halfback flanker because I think it would open up the
Hmm.
rest of you. You have some elite midfielders. I think Blake Acres is one of the best wings in the competition. But having that damaging halfback flanker, the run position, I think would be elite for your team with the midfield that you have and some of the forwards that I think can get free, especially with Harry. So I hate to hop in, but for a couple of teams,
No, no, no.
that's
Yeah.
the niche position that I think teams are trying to find now because it has become
Fine.
very in vogue in the competition to have that running halfbacker that can kick that is elite when it comes to kicking. So thought I'd hop in there. So
It's actually
go ahead.
it's quite funny, sorry for cutting in. My friend's like, "Oh, you should say like Nick Dacos or something," but I don't think I had it in me to mention a Collingwood supporter. I definitely understand where you're coming from. I'm like, I couldn't think of any though, but
Mhm.
yeah, I definitely agree.
They're few and far between, but the one you can definitely tell that the Josh Weddle has become kind of that for Hawthorn a little bit too. Like I said, Nick Blakey, Jordan
Hmm.
Clark, Josh or Nick both can kind of play that position too. Nasiah Wanganeen, Miller, Jackson Clare. Trying to think of some of the others. I know Fiorini did it for Gold Coast. This no, not Fiorini. Euland and oh my gosh, I cannot think of the one was formerly with the Tigers. Now I can't think of his name for Gold Coast. Oh my gosh, seriously. I always have brain fades when I really need to remember that. Rioli, that was
No, I
it.
definitely
Yulin and
agree.
Rioli for Gold Coast. It's like you see that the team, so a lot of
Yeah.
the teams that are very successful have that halfback flanker position. Um, with pace and kicking ability. Some of the best teams in the competition. I know Dan Houston, when he was with Port, was that kicking. He didn't have the speed, but he had that kicking ability. So that's on that. So we'll have some fun with this. As most people know, I am a huge supporter of the AFLW. So I asked this, Jamie Lee, do you keep track of the Carlton women? And if so, your thoughts on last season? Because how good were the Carlton girls?
I know, and I'm really disappointed. I tried my absolute best watching everything I can, but I think at that time I was starting like exams because of year 12, so I
No,
wasn't
I
always on
understand.
the ball to the end of the AFL women's, but also the AFL season. But in the end, I'm so proud. I believe they made it to finals, if I'm
Preliminaries. Yep. They got all the
yeah,
way to the
yeah,
preliminary
I was
final.
so proud of them.
Yep.
I got told all the amazing things. I think you've at like we've seen the growth in the team recently in the last couple of years, and also the support of AFL women's like the crowds are getting bigger, which I'm so happy for them.
Hmm.
And I think they all the AFL women's players deserve the recognition that they deserve.
Yep. Oh, you've got some ripping players on your team. Like if I know it's not easy, and I know some people say, well, it's hard to watch W because you get footy fatigue. Well, all due respect, and I say this as respectfully as possible to people. I'm an American who's thousands of kilometers away. I do a podcast every week. If I don't have footy fatigue, if I can't have footy fatigue, somebody that doesn't do a show each week, I will have discussions with people. I understand footy fatigue, but I also it's your club. If you love your club as much, try to find a way. I will never say that you have to support your women's team. I get it. Some people just won't. And some people there's a specific reason why give them any I won't give them any airtime because they're not worth it. But this is a fun team to watch. This is a young, up and coming
Yeah,
team with some absolute rippers. Mimi Hill, the McKay sisters, both Sophie, and then
yeah.
so much fun to watch. I absolutely love this Blues team. They're going to be fun. They're going to be fun to see them grow as they get a little bit older.
Yeah.
It's a fun list. Some absolutely ripping performers. So if you get a chance, please keep an eye on it because they're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, 100%.
It's going to
Yeah.
be very interesting to see how this season goes. Again, the competition is constantly changing. I think I've
Hmm.
said it many times in the podcast. The classes that are coming up over these next 3 or 4 seasons are going to be game changers. This last draft, as
Yeah,
Gemma
100%.
Bastiani said, so great. This last draft was a super draft. It will be a draft that is going to
Hmm.
come down in lore because so many of these young women are going to be 100 game players. They're going to be all Australians. They're going to win premierships. They're going to be some of the
Yeah.
best players on their teams. And they're 18 and 19 years old right now, which means for the next 10 years, they're
Hmm.
only going to get better. You're starting to
Better.
see these women that have had a footy in their hands since they were 4 years old or 5 years old. They didn't
Hmm.
have to worry about you can't play at 12 years old because Kick stops at 12. That doesn't happen
Yeah.
anymore. And you're seeing the progression of this sport. This is the growth area. Like I said, this is why I go after AFL House because as much as I agree with you, the crowds are growing, but they're growing despite AFL House's constant ability to put them in, pardon my French, shitty situations, shitty time frames, and in
Oh,
grounds that they
yeah.
can't grow. They can't grow.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So that's why I always say if you are a supporter of footy, try to support your women's team if you can,
Yeah.
because these women are incredible athletes. These women are incredible people. I interact with several of them on social media. They love you just as much as you love them because they want the
Yeah.
support because they don't always get it. And they don't have the AFL 360s, the Saturday night footies. They don't get the same covers that the men do. So anything that they get, they're very thankful for what they get when it comes to support.
Hmm.
So I always say if you get a chance, support your
Go
W team
100%.
because trust me,
Yeah.
those players will love you just as much as you will love them. So excuse me. So we're getting towards the end, and for me, I like having a little bit of fun to end my shows. So, as I've said every podcast, I have never been to Australia. It is on my bucket list. I will
Hmm.
get there eventually. So I'm doing a tiny bit of research to be sure that when I do go, I will have the time of my life and enjoy my footy going experience. So, Jamie Lee,
Hmm.
answer me this. As an American, we love our food at our sporting events. So I will ask this. What is your go-to food at the football?
I have not changed my order since I was a young kid, and I don't think I'll ever change it. I always get the chips and chicken tenders with like a whatever drink you want. It's the best thing that you can get at the MCG or at Marvel. I'm not quite into like the hot dogs or the meat pies. I love the chicken and I love the chips.
Awesome, awesome. I know chips has become a really popular one. It's and if I do my totals right, hot chips is second, right behind meat pie. So, but adding the chicken tender, I know the chicken tenders has become another one. That chicken tender and chips meal has become a very popular one. So absolutely love it. And then my next question is the ultimate part of the footy going experience is the seat, is the place that you are to enjoy the football. So for you, where's your ideal place to sit when you go to the footy?
No matter what ground I'm in, front row, level one. I'm a Carlton member. So I for the past couple of years, I reckon I've been rocking up to the games 3 hours early, even if that meant being front row. It's the best thing. People say, oh, level two, level two. No, there's nothing that beats, especially like Marvel, you're like directly on the field. So like if it comes to like the boundary line or something, you actually like hear the players being like, go over there, go.
Hmm.
It's quite amazing. And the like we are so close to the Carlton cheer squad. So the adrenaline that they put into the game, we feel it as well, and we give it back to the players. It's I think the front row of level one is the best.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. So, and then I end my episodes. Like I said, I've started a playlist of this because this is one of my favorite ones because I never know what I'm going to get. So I'll ask this question. Favorite game of football you have ever seen, whether at the ground, on the telly, past games that you've seen on TV. Favorite game of football you have ever seen.
There's two actually, and
That's
you
fine.
might hate me for one of them.
That's
It
fine.
was round 20. It was the first week of finals, 2023, Carlton versus
Hmm.
Sydney, if I'm correct, if I
Yep.
remember. That was the first ever finals game as oh, it was 2023. So I was 16. It was the first ever like finals I actually got to witness in person
Hmm.
with my friend who was in the same boat because obviously before 2023, 2022 round 23 wasn't the best result for us and we missed out on finals by
Hmm.
just a little bit. And obviously the
That
last
might even be that might be an understatement. Sorry. I'm not
Ross,
trying to bring up bad memories, but
it was right
that is,
there.
yep.
Don't bring the trauma back to me. I might cry.
Yep.
um, but the last time we played finals before 2023 was 2013, and I was obviously 6, so I was too young to go and
Hmm.
didn't really understand football at that age. And also the week after Carlton versus Melbourne, I was watching it on the telly. I came home from work 5 minutes to go, and the last 2 minutes of every game, I will record my reaction just in case something happens because I've learned from our mistakes. Even if we kick a goal with 20 seconds to go, Akers kicking that goal, I don't think I've ever screamed that loudly in my life. My whole family were jumping up and down, even though it was 11 o'clock at night. Like it was, I would say that's the best piece of football and the best passage I'd probably seen Carlton ever
Hmm.
do. And yeah, it's still, you bring it up to a Carlton supporter to like nowadays, and we will still scream about it, or we're still so happy that that happened.
Hmm. Yeah, still one of the loudest reactions I've ever heard
Yeah,
was that Acres goal was insane for me. I
insane.
remember just I've heard I've heard some loud reactions, some
Hmm.
last minute goals for so many different clubs, but I legitimately was like, oh my God. Like, and I've heard some people that were at the ground that day that said literally it felt like the ground was shaking. It was that loud. So
Yeah.
100% with you. I get it. It was the first time seeing a finals game live and getting the win in that. So no, you will never offend me. Trust me. My Western Bulldog supporter said 2016 grand final. I lived through that. Trust me.
Hmm.
Not one of my favorite
I.
memories as a Swan supporter, but I get it because it's
Hmm.
something that will live in infamy in your brain. You got to see it. You were there. You got to enjoy that moment of
Hmm.
my club wins a finals game for the first time in a while. So no, 100% get that. So
Yeah.
that is it, Jamie. That is all that I have. This has been a magnificent chat. I truly, truly appreciate you hopping on the podcast. Unfortunately, looking at my schedule, unless I can pump some things up, you're probably going to be my last podcast when it comes to this particular series.
That's fine.
This has been so much fun for me again. I wish I could have gotten all 18 clubs through. There was a couple that I had agreed
Hmm.
with. Unfortunately, scheduling just didn't work out. I'm hoping to have them on next year. We'll have to see. I really have enjoyed this chat. So thank you so much for hopping on the podcast. I genuinely appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and I can't wait for round zero.
I cannot
Let
wait.
the best
We will
best
have
team
our
win.
yes, we will have our fun banter on our message. I think it'll be fun. In fact,
Hmm.
I may even chit chat with you a little bit during the game because I know it'll
Yeah.
start at 2:15 in the morning my time. Not looking forward to that early wake up, but I will be up and about for that.
Hmm.
So, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it for this episode of Donnie's Disposals. Again, keep track of it. We are getting ever closer to the men's season getting started. And as per usual, hopefully, if everything works out, I'm still working on it. We will have our draft show where my friends up here in the States, our draft league, we'll have our fantasy draft where we talk footy, we banter footy while we draft. You as Aussies can see could be between 8 and 10 Americans chit-chatting football while drafting to see how we do and get our season ready to go when it comes to it. I'm hoping I've still got a couple of other chats I'm hoping to get through before the season starts. which will be interesting. And I'm already starting to get my schedule ready for this particular season. I'm looking at my schedule now. I've got a good chunk of this year's seasons, my co-host, which I'm hoping to have a few new ones, some fun faces on helping me go through this particular men's season. So that'll be it for this episode of Donnie's Disposals, and we'll be back with more footy coverage very, very soon.